Action and Postponement Policy be amended to remit fixed charges on Maori land of multiple titles used as a single property. Any questions of Beth on this one? Done a lot of work on this too. Right, I'm going to put that. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. Thank you very much. Moving right on to 6, the 2-year pilot program. Okay, any questions or comments on that? Sorry?
Didn't that say the system that that's for is just quite open?
Sorry, I can't hear you, Arthur. Can you talk into you?
Can someone just expand on failing systems, explain what the systems is?
Wastewater.
Oh, sorry.
Wastewater system tanks.
I realise that, but it should be there.
Failing septic tank systems,
Thank
or
you.
wastewater systems.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, so this was a good move, and hopefully we can, once the trials over, pilot program is over, we can do it elsewhere, like Lee. Right, I'll put that. All those in favour? Aye. Against? Carried. Thank you. The next one. Gosh, we're getting there. Targeted rate be set for Franklin curbside commingled recycling connection.
We're up to 7.
We're happy with that, and so I'll put that. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. Moving on to that the Browns Bay, Glen Eden and North Harbour bids are extended. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. Thank you. Now, so B, this is, we do have an amendment to B3. Where's the amendment? Who's amending this? Right, Councillor Darby's asked for this amendment, that the additional capital funding of up to 30 million in 2016, 2017 and 20 million in 2017-18 to Auckland Transport to support the early acquisition of land for future capital projects excluding light rail, reminding the AT board that Council's highest priority is public transport. What didn't your amendment say up to?
It does. I think I've added the words up to 30 and up, and it should have
Oh, it is,
and
it
up
is
to
there,
20.
sorry, and up to 20.
Do you want me to address that now?
Yes,
Chair?
please. Oh, we need a seconder.
I'll second it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm just clarifying here. I had some concerns when I read through this report, and I spoke earlier about my concerns about the New Zealand Transport Agency suggesting we should come to the party immediately and acquire their land. And I gave you an example of where we have been very accommodating of them previously down the bottom of Union Street, where we transferred a parcel of land which was road for $1 to allow them to proceed with some works there. We are currently holding off developing a $19 million capital value parcel of land known as the Placemakers site under Development Auckland. We are holding off because we've been requested to hold off by NZTA because they need to designate for the additional harbour crossing. That's about being collegial and collaborating with NZTA. I don't want to see us be forced to acquire early the land at, what was it, 337 Lincoln? I'm just highlighting that particular one. But I think what I did have some concerns over this whole package, but I will support it on the basis that it's an up to the 30 and it's an up to the 20, and that we have those discussions with NZTA and hopefully put that purchase off, which might allow AT to utilise the funding package for others. But we've already directed them strategically in favour of public transport. We've all agreed with that unanimously. It does not preclude anything else on that list. It just gives them a little steer and another reminder on the rudder that that is our direction. And I think this is just a gentle nudge that they need to be cautious in drawing down and what's on their list.
Right, thank you. Councillor Fletcher.
I can understand the sentiment behind it, but I've suggested to Councillor Darby he consider the Auckland Transport strategic priorities. There are 4, and essentially that is public transport, but we have some projects, as you know, if you take an Amity, which is a combination of roading and public transport, I wonder whether that could be a little too prescriptive. Given that we have endorsed as a council the strategic priorities for Auckland Transport, I would feel more comfortable in actually having it expressed in that way, which the weighting of which is on public transport. So I think we'll achieve the same objective, but it would be then more fitting with what the priorities are.
So your words would be?
So your words are correct, but the council's highest priority are Auckland Transport
Highest
strategic
weighting
priorities. Highest weighting priorities, or something to reinforce what we have agreed as a council.
Yeah.
Auckland Transport strategic priorities.
Which is public transport at the highest.
But we need to be careful that we get the words right, because if it is to do with something like Amity, we don't want to be in a situation where it can't be used if it's needed. I
was actually hoping Richard was here, but he's not.
Yeah, Richard's here.
Oh, he's here.
Richard's sitting.
Oh, there he is. I'm looking around.
Richard, would you like to comment on this?
Yes, look, we're not looking for a war chest here. You know, if I thought the council had another 50 million to spend on projects, I'd be advocating for those projects that drop below the line in the long-term plan to enable us to do more for congestion and more for public transport and so forth. This is for a specific set of requirements where we almost need to buy property before they get developed, or because we're obliged by previous development agreements that have been signed and so forth. So we're not looking for another 50 million to spend on advancing our causes. There's very specific property purchases mentioned in here, and we won't be buying anything with this proposed funding that isn't on the list that's in front of you here today. That includes provision for public transport, such as the McWhirter block up the North Western motorway, but it also includes stuff that's going to go under the developer's hammer for other roading that we need for other roading purposes too. And I don't have a problem with the wording there per se. It just directs us to acknowledge the importance of public transport, but the actual properties we're looking to fund out of this are in the papers today.
Thank you. Councillor Casey.
I'm not supporting this, and I want to talk about the process by which it comes to be before us today. This is a huge ask. It's $50 million, and there was. I know that Councillor Lee asked a staff member this morning, was this consulted over? Well, it wasn't. There was no comments from anybody that we were going to give an extra 50 million to Auckland Transport. But the way this came to us, you said you weren't wanting a war chest, but when you first came at the workshop, it was for 300 million. 210 and 90, as I remember, and you had 4 bullet points in support of that. No, it's not a dialogue, this is my speech. So then you came back asking for 90, and now you've got 50. It's the process by which we engage with a CCO. We've got all these rules and regulations about no surprises, governor to governor. Well, actually, as I understand it, this has not gone through the AT board. So how can... No, it's not a dialogue. This is. I asked you the question earlier. The response is that it didn't formally go through the AT board, and there is no resolution in support. So, are you kidding me? 50 million based on what? Where's the writing? Where's the bits of paper that tells me the board is in full support of this? And if they were, why didn't we know about it 6 months ago, 3 months ago, 2 months ago even? Not in the last 10 days. So, not happy with the process whatsoever, and I think that the public of Auckland have got a right to have a say in such, in us allocating money willy-nilly, as it were. No.
Councillor Cooper.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm very confused because I specifically remember going to a Have Your Say event at the Quality Hotel Lincoln Green on Lincoln Road about the Lincoln Road project. This has been fully consulted with the public. These projects, the same with the Northwestern Busway, we put money in there, in the LTP, around that, we put money for all of these projects, and they've all been indicated and they're in Auckland Transport's plan. This is what happens with the LTP. You move things around. We have local boards coming to us and say, can you bring this forward? We want to do this project. We move it from one year to another. We do trade-offs. And they're all within the envelope pretty much. And if we have to do a bit more, sometimes we do. And I want us to be able to remain nimble as a council and as the CCO to actually be able to deliver projects that are absolutely needed for Auckland, the Auckland region. And Councillor Darby, Lincoln Road, the money spent there will allow bus lanes for the first time ever. So it's absolutely supporting public transport. I'm a bit stumped by this. We've said over and over that public transport, and you've put these sorts of clauses in lots of your amendments. We don't need this. This is just adding something that we don't need. And I want them to be able to, if it came back to it and they said, actually, we need another 100,000 now to actually clinch that deal, that they can go and do that. They don't have to come back to us when they're dealing with somebody. And the other allegation that, the government doesn't, pay for stuff. Honestly, in Lowtherhurst Reserve, in the Henderson Massey Local Board, they've just bought some council parkland for stormwater. They've paid for it. And it's a trade-off, and that's going back to that community for growth. So I just think there's some, we just need to correct some of this misinformation. All of these projects have been consulted on. People have been dying for these things to happen, and I don't want anything to get in the way of those. So I'm not going to support this. I want to support the original motion that gives us flexibility within the current LTP on the projects that are indicated there to actually have them happen. We just can't stop transport projects. Thank you.
Thank you. Member Taipari.
Oh, kia ora, Madam Chair. Just seeking some advice, if I can, just on procedural. If you're a member of on the AT board, is there a conflict of interest to be sitting at this table as a decision maker on these matters?
No more than it is for them to be the Maori statutory board.
Madam Chair, this matter has been traversed on several occasions. We have received legal advice, and it has been there was a precedent established that Councillor Lee and I were both able to be present.
It would be worth having an argument about actually if there was an AT board position on it, but there's not.
Well, that's the issue, Michael. That's the
Thank
issue.
you for letting me ask my question.
That is the issue.
Thank you. Is there any other discussion about this amendment? Councillor Hulls.
Thank you. I just want to support my colleague, Councillor Cooper. There's something here that's just not adding up for me. So we set our priorities for what we want to see happen. Then there is no magic wand, there is no wish list, there's no other way of making them happen other than putting money in the budget to make them happen. At the moment, the whole transport and growth area is such a fast moving and dynamic part of what we do. Around this table, we consistently hear people saying we should grab that land for parkland because prices are going up. We should grab this opportunity. We should grab that opportunity. All we're doing is saying, let's make sure we've got the opportunity for the single most important thing that we're trying to make happen in Auckland, which is transport and public transport. I'm kind of missing something here, but obviously the priorities that we set, we're simply putting funding in there to do. We aren't... and I don't know, and this is where I'm a little bit lost. Does Auckland Transport, we've got our two directors here, do you not discuss this? Why is there no position on the ability to purchase land? Or, am I missing something here, Madam Chair? For me, this just seems intensely logical that we have a decent amount of capital funding available to grab these pieces of land for the Norwest Busway, the Magwurta Block and all of those sort of things. Why would you not? I can think of a hell of a lot of things that we probably wouldn't spend money on. We've bought a large amount of parks. Actually, I hear the ASB building mentioned. We've made actually a good amount of money out of that. So, I think we just need to be practical, Madam Chair. I think we might be jumping at shadows here a little bit. And I, for one, would like to see us do the most important thing that this council's asked to do, which is to sort out transport in Auckland, and that requires buying up pieces of land to actually build the Norwest Busway, to do Lincoln Road and to do other areas. I don't understand what this little amendment aims to do. If it's to curtail that, I won't be supporting it.
Well, I mean, I can think of some projects in our area that's going to need some land bought. I mean, Richard, I think you put it really well at was it workshop or whatever, when you said actually it's much better if we can buy land at 150,000 because it hasn't got houses on, rather than wait with the houses put on it and then we have to buy it for 750,000
And knock people's homes down.
and go through taking those houses out. So do you want to comment on that? I mean, I thought that was quite a reasonable thing.